all of my channels going here. It looks like I'm live on YouTube and both Facebook channels. Hello, hello, hello. Hope you're having a great day. Give me a thumbs up out there if anybody's out there and can hear me. Okay, very good. Looks like I'm good. Okay, so coach or mentor. What's the difference? I hear people using those phrases all the time interchangeably, and I don't really know that that's really appropriate. And that's what I want to talk about today. So got that we're going to talk about, and then I've got my live event coming up in Indianapolis. It's the first time I've hosted one in Indianapolis like this. And we're going to talk about that just for a little bit. So we're probably going to go a little extended here, but I want to make sure that you guys are going out taking for this Ask Coach session. And I've been seeing that out there. I see a lot of discussions on especially the Bigger Pockets guys. I see this a thread like that coming up very frequently. And although my members didn't ask this question specifically, I think it's worth addressing because there are people that are using these phrases interchangeably, whether it's a coach or whether it's a coach or a mentor. And it doesn't necessarily need to be real estate specific, but I think that that's something that people are often confused by. And that's what I want to talk about today. So let me go ahead. I've got a poll that I'm going to post and see if this is, let's see here. It always takes me a while to do because it does not make it easier. Let's see here. There's that. And then you publish. I even do these in advance and it still takes a little bit of time. So I'm going to go ahead and post this. So have you ever worked with a coach or a mentor? And that's an interesting question. And I would ask you to wait to answer. For those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you can go ahead and watch the replay on Facebook just if you're curious about the answers. But here's the question. So I'm going to talk really quickly about, whether a coach or a mentor. I had a wrestling coach back in high school, and this guy was the motivator. This guy, his name was John. I'm not going to, because I'm going to talk about some personal stuff. And those of you who may know who he was the motivator. I mean, you worked hard for him because you didn't want to disappoint him. I mean, when you showed up in every way, and he expected nothing less. He was also a football coach, which seemed to work well for him. But he was fantastic at pushing us beyond our limits. And he was also a great teacher, in terms of the how to do things and the basics of it. He was a good tactician. He knew how to motivate. He got his, all of us were in peak physical condition. It was funny because I often joked that I should have joined the damn track team because I probably would have ran a lot less versus on the wrestling team. But those of us, I want to say close to half of the guys that were on the team went in the military, and a good number of us ended up joining the Marine Corps. I mean, I think it was well over half went in the military, and probably about a third in total, maybe even half of us in total went in the Marines. So Chuck Tomaszek and another guy, Jim Booth, those are two that come to the top of my head. But really, it was just the type of people that he attracted. He wanted high performers and accountability too. Like just, you didn't come to him with nonsense. He wouldn't have it. He would listen. He understood that there were legitimate reasons at times, but not excuses. And he wouldn't have excuses, but he did understand reasons because he knew all at the end of the day, we were 16, 17, 18-year-old guys going through the normal stuff we were going through, right? He got it. He understood. So in terms of a coach, right, I kind of hit all the things there, like motivator, teacher, right? Accountability. Those are things that you definitely need in a coach. And you don't want a coach that's too worried about their own approval and acceptance, because that's not going to be good for them. That's not going to be good that's not going to be good for you. Because if you've got a coach that you're hiring that is more worried about their approval and acceptance, and that rather than telling you the things that you absolutely need to hear, that's not going to work out well for you at all. And that's an important consideration. So when you've got a good coach, they're going to tell you the things that need to be told to you, but they also have a really good understanding of emotional intelligence to tell you the things in the way that you need to hear them. And that's an important consideration, because sometimes the yelling and screaming football coach is not what's needed. And and there's a good mix of that. And I would say that he had a good mix of that. Let's go to mentor for a second. So I've had several mentors, and usually the way mentors in my world have happened is they just kind of wander into your life and you just adopt them, right? Like there's no one that ever showed up in my life and said, "I'm your mentor." Like it didn't happen that way. Now I think that the most really truly effective mentors are the ones who really truly care for you and your success. I don't think that mentors are someone that you specifically pay. Although I'm just saying, this is my truth, not the truth. I'm just saying it's my truth. I think when you wander in through the world, especially when you are, when you've got a lot of people that are in your circle, and you're kind of say, you know what, that person has a lot of the qualities that I want in my life, right? They're a solid church going person. They're truthful. They're honest. They do all the things. They seem to have the, everything figured out, even though they struggle a bit, but they figure things out in a logical way. And like whatever it is, but it dials into how you want to be, right? It's almost that, like they're just such a good person. I couldn't be half the person they were. And if I was even half the person, I'd be doing okay. That's kind of how I feel a mentor is. And I've had several mentors in my life, and I'm not going to say their whole name because I don't want to embarrass them. But Jeff was one guy who I wrote about in the Time Wealthy Investor book. And he was just somebody that I looked up to. He was successful. He had struggles in his life. He understood, what it was like to struggle. He understood what it was like to operate multiple businesses and multiple locations. And every time I called him just to hey, look, I got a question. And I never monopolized his time. I always was very respectful of his time. I asked him if he had if he had 10 minutes, and I damn well did not go over 10 minutes unless he was carrying the conversation. But I would say, hey, I need about 10 minutes. I need 15 minutes. Can I ask you a question? He always says yes. And I haven't reached out to him lately, but I know if I called him and said, hey, I've got a question, do you mind if I bounce something off you? I know he would accept my call. I know he would have no problem with that whatsoever. So go to this other mentor that I have. His name is Ron. Ron and I are in similar industries. And Ron, same thing. Ron is quite a bit older than me, but he reached out to me in ways that he didn't have to, and especially when I was up and coming. And he's never so much as loaned me $1. Well, that's not true. He bought me breakfast a couple times, but never so much. It's beyond that. My relationship with him is priceless, and I absolutely consider him a mentor and a great guy, just a good guy, someone who I want to emulate in my life, and I want to be more like him, right? And that's how I feel that mentors are. I think mentors are good idea generators, or things that you need to bounce ideas off of, people who will tell you the truth, and that's it. So I want to compare and contrast the coaches and the mentors here at this point. In my wrestling coach example, the coach, he was a great coach. I think, again, in terms of motivator, poking, prodding you along, teaching you, no excuses. But his life was a freaking disaster. I mean, just the way that he lived his life was not a way that I want to live my life, but he was a very effective coach. And I don't think that's necessary I think it's better if you have someone who's a coach that you can emulate, but I don't think it's necessary. I think as long as what they're teaching you is sound, I think as long as it's motivating you in a way that's positive, I don't necessarily know that a coach has to have it all together, right? That's why you might have somebody that is, for example, maybe a good strength and conditioning coach for an athlete, but they're not necessarily a good technician on for whatever it is. Maybe you want to be stronger, but this guy helps you improve your golf swing, right? For example. So that's where I think it's important that you determine the what it is that you're trying to accomplish by having a coach. Okay, so that's the first thing. So I think in terms of a mentor, I don't think that a mentor. I think it's got to be someone who really truly has their best interest in mind for you. Now, again, for a coach, I think it's you definitely want to have that. But I'm thinking of it from when, obviously, the way I'm looking at it is a coach is definitely someone that you would probably pay. Someone that does not have a high need for acceptance or approval from you, someone that is not a friend, someone that will tell you what needs to be said to you. A mentor is someone really more about the idea generator. It's someone that maybe you can go to that can kind of be your safe place to bounce ideas off of when you're having a really, really crappy day. And maybe your coach can be that for you too. But I think really a mentor is really someone that's going to bounce ideas off of, that you can be vulnerable with to a certain extent. And say, man, my coach really pissed me off today. Okay, well, maybe it's what you needed to hear. Let's talk about it, right? Those sorts of things. But I think a mentor really is something more, it's less specific in certain ways, but I think it's someone definitely that you would want to emulate in your life. And that's just, again, that's my truth, not the truth. I'm just saying, I think that a coach can definitely, they can teach you certain things, certain pieces of that. I don't think you should have a forever coach. I think some coaches you can have for years, for several years, but I think it's good to mix that up sometimes too. I've had people that have, I've coached, they've gone away for a period of time and they've come back to me because they realized, you know what, they needed to take a break. And I want them to take breaks from time to time, but they came back to me and they were saying, okay, I needed some time to let that marinate. I needed some time to have that make sense for me. And now I can come back and now we're going to start implementing some things. Okay, great. So let's start implementing where I can now hold you accountable once again. And that's important. So that's coach and mentor. I think there's a lot of overlap. If it sounds like there's a lot of overlap, it's because I believe that there is, but I definitely think the difference between a coach and a mentor, honestly, I don't think you should pay a mentor. I think you should pay a coach, because when you are paying, you are committing. And that's probably the difference right there. I think a mentor is someone that you can trust, that you can go to. I have lots of people that I would consider close friends that I would also consider mentors. So there's that. Okay. So really quick, I want to take a couple minutes because I want to keep this under 15 minutes in total. But talking about some of these 2-day live events that I've got coming up, I'm not going to make this a big salesy pitch. I just want to talk specifically about what this is. And really, I'm just going to break it down very fast. It's going to be how to buy, how to manage, and how to live. That's it. People are out there and they have no idea where to get started. Or if they've got properties, they have no idea how to scale. They don't know how to grow their portfolio. And even if they did grow their portfolio, they're struggling right now with what they have. They can't imagine taking on 5, 10, or 20 more because they're spread too thin. And they want to grow their portfolios because they want a different level of life output, but they can't do that because they're constrained by capacity. And that's it in a nutshell. So it's going to be 2 full, very, very busy days here in Indianapolis. I'm in Lafayette, but it'll be in Indianapolis. And I do keep these classes reasonably small because I like to get into everybody's psyche, so we can all work together as a group and and you're not going to be sitting in a class of 500 people, right? So I like to keep them fairly small, just so I can get to know what everybody's individual nuances are, because not everybody is going to have the same exact approach or same exact vision, or really what it is that they're all trying to accomplish. They're all trying to accomplish similar things, but not the same things. And that's why I like to keep the classes small. So I'm going to post a link on here for you if you are interested in getting registered. There, the price is pretty straightforward. It's $4.99 for one person. If you want to bring a second person, it's at $100. So you could split the cost, basically about $300 a person, which is a super sweet deal, because you're going to be spending 2 full days. Just pepper me with questions and getting tons and tons of content on how to just basically the how-to of this business, and getting you to the life that you want. All right. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much. Please remember to place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. I promise you they will. And there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have a great day, guys. Take good care.